This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with a daily wrestling news update. Just a quick reminder, tonight, supposedly at 11:30 p.m., but with the captain, you never know, it could be later. I am supposed to be interviewing the Berserker John Nord. I'll get into the news. Sadly, Friday night at the Gathering in Charlotte, North Carolina, Steve Kern told the audience that Brian Blair's son, Brett Blair, was killed. He was the oldest of two of Blair's children. The way he was killed has not been released yet. He did have a history of issues with the law. He was arrested most recently on April 10th, 2021 by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department in Tampa, charged with possession of cocaine and drug paraphernalia, as well as possession of a controlled substance. In 2010, he was arrested on charges of possession of oxycodone and marijuana, as well as drug paraphernalia. Of course, marijuana is still illegal in Florida for some reason, as well as it's illegal in Texas. It's perfectly legal here in Canada, though. In June 2009, there was an incident at the Blair household over an altercation that Brian had with his son, Brett, who was only 17 at that point, and Blair was charged with child abuse, but that charge was later dropped. So I'm sorry to hear that. I've done several interviews with Brian. He's a nice guy. Sorry to hear that his son passed in his early 20s. However, it does seem that he was involved with some stuff that was getting him into some issues. But nevertheless, sorry to hear about that. In other wrestling news, John Cena had his first match since his WrestleMania 36 match against Bray Wyatt last night after the SmackDown show in Cleveland. Cena teamed with Rey and Dominic Mysterio to defeat Roman Reigns and the Usos in a dark match. Now, I don't even really call the John Cena versus Bray Wyatt WrestleMania 36 match a match. It was more of a cinematic match that involved teleportation and all kind of bizarre stuff. It was an abortion. It was an abortion and a good display of why wrestling sucks these days. That WrestleMania 36 match, I absolutely hated it. Dr. Britt Baker apparently broke her wrist in a match versus Nyla Rose on last Wednesday's Dynamite taping. Apparently, several WWE superstars have not been reporting to the mandatory training sessions that have been at the Performance Center lately. A lot of talent don't want to go to these sessions because, for instance, Bayley got injured doing some of these sessions and they feel it's unnecessary. However, when you're employed by a company like WWE, even though they call their wrestlers independent contractors, you are under contract with them. You got to do what your bosses tell you, just like any other job. Someone pointed out to me that last year, Sammy Guevara was suspended by AEW for making a comment in a podcast that was recorded years earlier where he said he, quote unquote, wanted to rape Sasha Banks, which, as everyone knows, that's a slang for... I don't approve of it, but it's a way of complimenting a girl actually in a rude manner by basically saying she's hot. It's another way of saying it. Obviously, it's not appropriate to say on a podcast. But Someone pointed out to me that they've now hired Nick Gage, who is a convicted bank robber. And they also hired in the past Mike Tyson, a convicted rapist. So it's a little hypocritical that they'll suspend a guy for making a comment that didn't even mean that he wanted to rape a girl. It was just like a way of actually complimenting a girl, but obviously it was inappropriate. But at the same time, they'll hire a convicted rapist and a convicted bank robber. I don't know. I agree with that fan. That's a little weird. Remind everyone in the Philadelphia area, huge event coming up, Battleground Championship Wrestling, September 18th. PCW Ultra returns to the LA area October the 22nd. And of course, this match has been announced as part of the big Bruiser Brody Cup, November 5th and 6th in Carthage, Texas. And I'm also going to be there doing some interviews.